Red Corner Boxing. We're in the game.
Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Mr. Neutral from Red Corner Boxing. And our guest today is former world champion and long-time boxing analyst, Mr. Raul Marquez. Over the years, he's been both praised and challenged for his views in the sport, drawing on his experience inside the ring and at the commentary desk. Most recently, his analysis during the Dalton Smith fight versus Subriel Matias has sparked widespread reaction online, with fans and media sharply divided over his commentary. It's highlighted just how influential and scrutinised the analyst role is and has become in the digital era. Today's conversation is about clarity, context, and accountability. We'll address the criticism directly and discuss how expectations can shape live analysis and explore the balance between projection and observation. No pylons, no softballs, just a straightforward boxing conversation. Raul Marquez, welcome to the channel, sir.
Thank you. I'm excited to be on. I'm really happy that you invited me. And hey, look, it's the beginning of the year, and I was happy to be a part of a great card that happened last Saturday in New York. I mean, if the people that tuned in, not just the main event, you know, we had some perhaps on the undercard, we had knockout of the year, perhaps with Campa and Bravo, you know, Bravo knocking out Campa. And then El Perrito against El Chucky. That was perhaps the round of the year, you know, both knocking each other out, and you know, then El Perrito came back and knocked them out. That was perhaps the round of the year. And of course, in the main event, Subriel Matias against Dalton Smith. What a barn burner! What a fight! What an action fight! It was for me, in my opinion, it was give and take, toe to toe, all the way into the end when Dalton landed the big three right hands in a row, haymakers that put Subriel Matias down, and it was a shock. It was a surprising because nobody had ever done that to Subriel Matias. Nobody, and it was a big win for Dalton Smith. I'm happy for him and his family. It was a great night of boxing.
Absolutely. And before we get into the fight itself, you talked about the card, the event. You know, you're there with Corey as usual. How did it feel when you got the call? Here, Raul, come down. We want you to do this event. You know, how excited was you for the event and then for the main event itself?
Oh, I was very excited. I mean, every time I'm going to work with Corey Erdman, you know, he's one of the best guys out there. And then being that the fight was going to be in New York City at the Barclays Center, you know, I've done fights before there when I was with Showtime for 12 years doing commentary with, you know, doing Showbox, the new generation, and of course, doing the big fights on Showtime Championship Boxing in Spanish. So I was very excited to be there for that card. You know, it was... there was a bunch of Mexicans and Puerto Ricans fighting on the undercard, the rivalry between the Mexicans and the Puerto Ricans. The only fight that wasn't a rivalry was the main event, you know, because Subriel Matias, you know, is Puerto Rican, and of course Dalton Smith is, you know, from the other side of the world, from Sheffield, England. But I was blessed. I was very fortunate that I was there, and the card turned out to be a great card, man. It was very, very, every fight there was very competitive, and it was exciting.
Oh, absolutely. You know, wonderful card. You know, however, PPV wise, it didn't do very well. According to all reports, there's even some really tragic numbers from like just 17 people have had bought the PPV. And, you know, I get what you say when you said online, I was there. I watched it live because 99% of the people didn't around the world, you know. So that having been said, you know, I'm going to ask you some questions first, and then I want to show you the 5-minute video that we've compiled with sound, your commentary on as well, and we go over it as you know, because for educational purposes we have to talk about it, you know. So a couple of questions first. A major criticism of the broadcast was that, this is from the British point of view, Raul. Okay.
Right.
Is that much of the commentary focused on what Subriel Matias might do rather than what Dalton Smith was actively doing in the ring? When you watch it, or when you did watch it back, do you think Smith's work to preempt and disrupt Matias's offense was under-acknowledged in real time?
Perhaps not, because things happen so quick. But I did give Dalton Smith his due. Like the first round, he was boxing beautifully, angles, using the whole ring, using the jab, landing the haymakers, the overhand right. I gave him credit for that. He won that first round,
Yeah,
and because he was doing what he was supposed to do. The second round, Matias came out a little bit stronger, but I still saw Dalton box at times, and at times he had to go toe to toe with him. And that's okay. You got to be able to change
yeah.
it up. And I still think Dalton Smith won that round. And the third round, that's where I think it turned the tide. I feel like Dalton was forced into going toe to toe. That's what you could see in that third round where he's going toe to toe more. He's standing more his ground and going toe to toe with Matias, at times getting the best of him. But Matias, you guys have to see, just because Matias is going backwards sometimes or fighting out the ropes, there's a lot of short shots that come up the middle, uppercuts and hooks that he was connecting. I felt he was more active, a little bit more active than Dalton. I don't think Dalton had ever fought that kind of fast paced fight, because I've seen him in Dalton in his fights with Jermaine, with Benjamin, with Cepeda. I don't think was ever that busy. He had to be, because Matias forced him to fight that kind of fight. And that's
Uh,
the way I saw that third round. I think in the third round, Dalton said, "You know what? I don't think I could keep up with this kind of pace fighting. Me moving around. I'm gonna have to go toe to toe with him." He was forced into go, because that's what Matias does, and it's okay. Like, what's wrong with
yeah.
me saying I've seen Matias fight in the past with Goyas, with Ergushov, with Ramirez. He's a fighter that gives up rounds, 3, 4 rounds. But even when he gives them up, he gets rocked on those rounds. Then he comes back and he gets better as the fight goes. The second half of the fight, he gets better. So,
Mm.
in my defense of defending myself, I'm trying to tell people that I'm hoping that Smith is able to keep up with this kind of pace, this kind of rhythm, because he's never fought that kind of pace. He's
It's
never,
just
from what I've seen, tell me what fight he has been forced into fighting that kind of pace and having to throw more punches. Tell me what fight in the past you've seen. When I did
but
film study, I never saw him fight that kind of pace. So that was
there
my
is
worry about
yeah.
him. You
There
know,
is no doubt, there's no doubt, and I'll come to your defense on this. There's no doubt that Dalton Smith has never, ever fought
right?
the type of style that Subriel Matias brought to that fight, because there is no other fighter that fights like Subriel Matias, where
You're right.
zero head movement, right?
Bad defense,
Belligerent,
really bad defense.
one-paced, one-dimensional, coming forward style
Yeah.
to bully his
Hmm.
opponents, which he's
Right.
shown time and time again. Liam Paro fought on the outside. Different story, took him the distance. There was this bogeyman image of Subriel Matias coming into this fight, but incidentally, Richardson Hitchens had given him that title, and it seemed to have stuck. And then the fans and the media have adopted it. However, that always doesn't tell or paint the true picture. Now, I'm going to go back to some of the reactions to the commentary by the commentary team, yourself and Corey. If my producer can just put them up on the screen there, and there's pros and cons. But there's a question from the Spit Bucket broadcast, and big up to them. They're actually friends of ours here, but they try to be as neutral as they can. However, with a hint of opinion, Raul. He says, big fan of Raul Marquez, but I did think Dan hit the nail on the head. Dan was saying or indicating that you were looking to see what Matias was going to do rather than looking at it in real time, making less than objective predictions later on in the fight. Now you've been answering everybody as the gentleman that you are, and you've always given Dalton Smith respect at the very end of your tweets, and we can show some more. And there is some pretty negative ones there. The Mr. Tomato Cam, obviously, what a name that you have to deal with there. I wouldn't even like to have replied to this gentleman. However, he says negative, bro. We all know that what we saw, and it wasn't what the commentary was saying. That stuff was extremely biased. You will get people that were saying that because some of the visuals, as we will see in the video, were not matching up to what you were saying. Now, comes on to my next question. How do you personally balance projecting a fighter's known tendencies like Subriel Matias, as you pointed out, especially against reacting to what's actually unfolding round by round? Is there a risk that expectation can outweigh observation based on the fact that you said that you'd never seen Dalton Smith fight that way before? Because as we know, Raul, styles make fights, and he'd never seen that style before. So there he had to adopt. And I have to come back to round one in particular, where we all saw Kajam's put up the punch stats from CompuBox, which will prove my point. In round one, I can't see it there. I'll wait for it to come on my monitor on YouTube. In round one, you can see there, Matias threw one jab and one power punch. Dalton Smith threw 24 total punches to Matias one. So it was clear, not up for debate, right?
Yes.
So let's go to the stats in round two, because many people will say that Dalton's got that as well. But the punch stats actually just about agree. Total punches, 11 by Matias, 21 out of 75 by Smith. So we're given rounds 1 and 2. I think it's fair to say that you can do that.
I gave him rounds 1
you
and
did.
2.
But this is...
I saw when I saw Matias didn't throw no punches in the first round. He hardly threw any. He just attacks you with his guard up, tries to run over you to a point. He doesn't throw punches. The second round, he might have thrown a little bit more, but not enough. And Dalton still won that round.
Absolutely. Now, if you go to the next round 3, and you were quite right in your, in your commentary at that time that Matias was opening up. But if you look, round 3, Matias actually won that round according to the stats. Now, many people were saying that, you were missing punches that Dalton was throwing. So let's look at round 4. And then another high-scoring punch stat for Matias was 32 from 81 against Dalton Smith, 24 from 84. Okay, so that would cement your 2-2 scoring, which you have claimed, which you have claimed 2-2, right? Yeah. Which you claimed from your very first tweet to your very last. Okay, and I've seen that. And again, always at the end of it, you congratulated Dalton Smith. But where do you think the criticism comes from about the play-by-play, not play-by-play, because obviously that's Corey's job, is when you were analysing? Where do you think this criticism comes from, and what's it based on?
Well, first of all, look, I think the British fans are passionate. They're passionate about their fighter, okay? And I understand that. They remind me of Mexican fans, because us Mexicans, they're passionate about their fighter too. They just want to see their fighter win and grow and make it big, right? I'll give you a good example. When I did the Canelo Crawford fight, I covered it for Netflix in Espanol, in Spanish. Okay, even some of the commentators, I called the fight. I had a great breakdown of the fight, even on English, like on different YouTube platforms where they were asking me how I thought the fight was gonna go, and I picked Crawford to win the fight. Okay, at the end of the fight on Netflix with the Spanish commentators, even some of them are still saying that I worked with that the fight was close. They thought the fight was close. Even some Mexican fans are saying that Canelo won that fight. He got ripped off. It was the fight, was closer than what people had it. The judges had it. I mean, the Crawford dominated that fight. He won 10 out of 12 rounds. So I think every time you see going back to the Dalton Smith fight and Subriel Matias, when you see a close round, obviously the British fans, they're not gonna give it to the other guy. They're gonna give it to Dalton Smith, because
Casual
they're judging
fans. That's
because they're
Brit. Yeah,
because they're judging with their
Smith.
heart, with their
Yeah,
feelings. I
hardcore. You can excuse because British hardcore out there would be down Dalton Smith's neck if he didn't win that round. Trust me, they would. As passionate as they can be, British fans, they can be vociferous on an equal, playing field at the same time. So, honesty, I'm not bigging up the British fans, but they have a far more rational view of things than maybe American fans. And that's no, slight on you and your commentary or the fans and the media. It's just a different viewpoint. Now,
perhaps
your viewpoint was ringside. Okay.
right,
I've been ringside. I've not actually sat
and
canvas
yeah,
level, but I've been a row back with the media and I've seen perspectives. And all through that fight, I'm thinking of your perspective as you commentating. You don't get the multi-angle close-ups and the long shot from the zone or anybody else, whoever a broadcaster. You get a one-dimensional 3D or two-dimensional
hmm
view.
hmm
It's a screen to you what's in front of you. However, you've got obstacles, you've got ropes, you've got referees and corner posts and cameramen and stuff like that. So the fans' perspective is far more broader than yours. Now, would you accept that some of the perspectives can be explained with a different viewpoint, or are you still set in your mindset that when viewers point out that you know Matias's output was verbally emphasized when on a multi angle, your viewpoint was not necessarily matching up with what's been shown on the screen?
I think this is what I think. Look, I think the biggest take is that the fans thought I was being biased, right? Right,
Yeah,
correct. They thought I was being biased. They thought I was favoring.
some of them, some
They
of them.
thought I was favoring Matias too much and not giving Dalton credit for his punches. That's not true. That's not true. Go back and I every time Dalton connected, it was back and forth. Third, fourth round, it was back and forth. Every time Dalton connected, then Matias
Yep.
connected. You know, eh, but you also got to see at close range when Dalton was lunging in, putting his head in, leaning on him, and almost hugging him. Matias kept punching with short shots up the middle, and short hooks too. And also fighting back. He was fighting really good off the ropes too, throwing 6, 7 punch combinations. Maybe out of the 6, 7 punch combinations, maybe he landed 3. And Dalton was swinging open. He was open. He was more wild. Maybe out of 4 punches, he was landed 2. That's the way I saw it. I was there ringside. I saw that. He right before the knockout, right before the knockout, when Matias was fighting off the ropes, he had a good momentum going. If you watch it really closely, he was
Oh, we
catching
will.
Dalton.
We will. We're going to watch
Yeah,
it
he was,
after the next
he
question.
was catching Dalton with short uppercuts, short hooks. Dalton would come back too. Don't get me wrong. But who was landing more shots there? And then Dalton dragged them to the center of the ring, and then that's what then Dalton's momentum started coming, his rhythm. He landed a combination, and then he landed. He set him up with the jab. Matias gave him distance, and Matias had his hands down, and Dalton touches him with the jab, 1-2, 1-2 again, rocks him with that right hand. Matias even goes, "Give me some more," and then hits him with the overhand right, gave him some more, and that was it. And it was a good stoppage. But my thing is, I don't understand how I'm being biased. All I was saying is, can Dalton Smith keep up with this kind of pace? Can he continue into the second half of the fight, fighting that kind of pace? That's not being
Yeah.
biased. I just
Aye.
know, I know
But
how Matias fights, how he gets better as the fight goes on. And
aye.
even if he's getting rocked early on, he takes that. But he gets better and he throws more punches. Can Dalton Smith keep up with it? I've never seen him fight that kind of fight.
Right,
And
right.
Dalton,
But you said you have seen him fight. There was more than enough evidence of Dalton Smith's 13 knockouts in his last 18, including dropping his last 6 opponents.
yeah, I knew he was strong. I knew he
Were
had
you
power.
not asking yourself, how long can Matias take these punches, rather than how long can Dalton Smith keep up this pace? Did
Right.
that question never crossed your mind?
I know what you're saying. I get what you're saying. No, that question never. No. Yeah. I wanted. My concern was, can Dalton Smith keep up with this kind of pace, right? But it never crossed my mind. Can Matias takes those bombs? He was getting rocked, and I felt like he could, because guess what? He's done it before. Ramirez hurt him in the first round, had him like stumbling, and then he came back and he knocked him out. Other guy, Gossip too. There's a lot of fighters.
So you were
Gordon.
using visual memory to help you with your rhetoric, as in your analysis of that analysis of that fight. You were using visual memory, the fact that you've seen Matias on numerous occasions. You've never seen Dalton Smith live.
Well, I studied Dalton Smith on film. When he fought Cepeda, when he fought Benjamin, Jermaine. Okay, and I saw him moving. I saw him boxing, beautiful boxing, trying to bait him in with the jab, land his power shots. But I never seen him go toe to toe like that and be a lot busier.
But this is what I'm trying to say, Raul. He does go toe to toe, because his 13 of his 18 knockouts before Subriel,
but not
he was going. He
not
was
toe to toe like not like
the
this,
right
like
handers were finishing his opponents. Only he sets them up with the beautiful jabs, because he done it twice. In fact, I can go back just before that, which we'll see on the video. We will see it on the video. I can go back just before that combination. There was a right-left hook, and then there was the jab, right hand. Then the second one that absolutely sent Subriel spinning, and then the overhand right that finished him. Now, there's British fans who'll say to you, Raul, they could see that coming, and it sort of went against some of the things you were saying. Look, with the benefit of replay in hindsight, ladies and gentlemen, before I go to this video, Raul, is there anything you would frame differently? Yes, on as you go.
Okay, my thing is, the whole thing is about being biased. I was not being biased. I had to fight even at that point.
Yeah, that's right.
We had 3 judges, okay? One judge had it 3-1 for Matias, okay? And the other two
bias.
That's bias. And the other 2 judges had it 3-1 for Smith. So obviously, don't say that Matias was not winning any rounds.
No. One had it. We've got the actual judges' scorecards, James. If you could put that.
I'm telling
you. One was 3-1. One was 3-1. One was 2-2.
No. One judge had it. 2 judges had it 3-1 for Smith. Two judges had it 3-1 for Smith. The other judge had it 3-1 for
Oh,
Matias.
so it's a split decision at that time. Right.
At that
Right.
point, yeah.
Now, with the
And
benefit
I
of
had it
replay.
2-2. I had it 2-2.
Well, look, I'm about to come to your aid because I had it 3-1 live when I watched it live. But then when I rewatched it and I took into account the punch stats and what you were saying, went up to round 4. I had it 2-2.
There you go. I mean, it's
So your scoring is not up for issue here.
right.
Your scoring's not up for issue. What is up for topic and which is still raging on 6 days after the fight or 5 days after the fight, something I've never seen before in boxing, by the way. So you've got to accept that there is talking points that and issues to be raised. Let's go to the fight, Raul. We've got to speak over this video. I'm going to point out a couple of things, and maybe you can point out a couple of things to back up what you're saying. Roll the tape, Jams.
Round 1 underway. Our main event, Subriel Matias and Dalton Smith, WBC light welterweight title on the line.
No need to go toe-to-toe.
Good right hand from Dalton Smith in the early going, and that has been a major weapon for Smith throughout his career.
Oh, nice overhand right there by Smith. But
He's boxing beautifully right there.
Matias
He's doing what he's supposed to.
takes those shots at the beginning. Responsible when he's coming in, at least keep his hands up.
Good uppercut there from Smith.
Give him some head movement, but
excellent start here for Dalton Smith. Looks for another one of those big right hands.
you find him, he's trying to win a world title here. Look at those some big shots there by Smith. But you see,
Matias.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, my mic was off. So you can see that Dalton won this round pretty easy. Subriel, just 4 shots. He was counted at scoring. Raul, you can accept at this point that Subriel is, he's lost this round.
Absolutely. It was beautiful boxing there by Dalton Smith. Using his jab, using his angles, moving around. It was a good first round for Dalton Smith.
With his head.
Now we look at round 3. You're accusing him of rushing in. How long can he keep this up?
He gets caught right there. You saw he got caught there with a counter.
Now he's thinking
with a counter and right hook.
Yeah,
Look at him. Look at the inside work right there.
that's right. But this is how Dalton Smith fights when he wants to set someone up. But Subriel is doing well. He's catching him.
Look at those short shots. Look at those short shots by Subriel. And then comes back, Smith comes back through.
Dalton Smith really showing big heart, big courage by going toe-to-toe like
He's showing
that.
big heart.
Now you're showing the heart.
He doesn't have to do that with Matias.
Look at the
He's
short
got
shot.
to move with Matias.
Look at the short
He's
shot.
got to give him angles.
There you go. Short. He passes him there at the end. Good.
Letting it fly right
Right.
at the end of the round.
But was that the third round?
That was the 3rd round. This is the 4th round now.
And yet, look at him fight right in front.
Good jab there.
You see some solid shots coming from Dalton here.
Big uppercut.
That was a great combination.
With short shot. And again.
More faster, that solid jab.
Comes back
Look at
Dalton.
those combinations by.
But look at the short shot right there with Matias again.
I
Again.
think Dalton ain't got no choice.
He comes back. Dalton comes back swinging
There he
wild.
is going toe-to-toe with him.
Look at
That's
Matias.
where you make the mistake.
But you see it, I think Dalton's got no choice.
Going toe-to-toe. And he's getting punished.
Look at that.
And he's missing.
More punch out
And
from
he's still
Matias.
coming forward.
He's not getting, you're saying he's getting punished, but he doesn't show like a man who is taking punishment. He's throwing back solid shots.
Look at the inside work there. Inside work from Matias.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I don't know that they can hear the bell.
But that's Matias in the way he fights.
Against Subriel Matias, but
This the last round?
Now this is last round now. Now this is where some of the people had issues with what you were seeing.
Wicked body shot there
We
from
said
Dalton
do something.
Smith.
Oh, there's a right left.
Damage, power.
Again.
Fast
Corey said it.
combination,
Look,
but
look at Matias. Look at that. Look
Smith
at that.
coming back.
Then
you
he
got
comes
Matias.
back. It was back
and
again
forth action.
Matias. Back and
Look
forth.
at that though. Look at them back. Now this is crucial right coming up now.
Look at that that solid jab.
Right here.
How
And
much of that is he going to take?
That's a combination. Watch. Boom.
Matias is
Boom.
wobbled, and he says, come on!
He robbled him. Bang, he's over. Some British. Thanks, Jams. Thanks,
I don't
Jams.
know. Hey,
We have to shout over that.
we
But, you know,
gave
some of
up
the
the-
British fans, Raul, were saying that was inevitable because you cannot stand toe-to-toe with Dalton Smith like that with this knockout record. You can't do it with that right hand.
Okay.
Uh,
And I
now,
understand.
if that had
but-
been British commentators, they would have pointed that out. Do you accept that you know maybe sometimes when a foreign fighter comes to the United States, do you accept that there's a default setting amongst fans and media that they have to look for things to criticize?
Look, I really can't say yes or no because I did film study on Dalton Smith, and I'm gonna go back to this. His plan was
Yeah.
to box, and then it changed. Even Eddie Hearn, listen to Eddie Hearn's interview. He was worried every round. He said, I was worried every round because the plan was to box. He was forced by Matias to go toe to toe.
I disagree. I disagree. Dalton Smith said after the fight, poolside, sunglasses on. At the end of round one, I said to myself, I felt his power. And he said, I'm going to turn this on you. I'm not going to make this a boxing match. I'm going to make this a brawl. He took the power and said, do you see now how things could be misconstrued in real time by his own? All of us could be wrong.
I get it. Yeah, all of us. Yeah, you're right. I get it. If the plan changed from boxing to going toe to toe, Eddie Hearn said, I don't think he should have.
He didn't know that. He didn't know that.
Yeah, Eddie didn't. Yeah, but he said
that's why he was
right. I don't think he should have went toe to toe because that was not his fight. But you know what? That was Dalton Smith's decision at that point. He made that decision. I don't even think the corner wanted him to do that. He made that decision and decided to go toe to toe, and he beat Matias at his own game. And much credit to him. Much credit. But nobody had done that to Matias. That's why we were. I understand Dalton. I understand Dalton had power. But I didn't think he had that kind of power to knock Matias out like that because I seen Matias get hit hard like that too and be stumbling and almost knocked out.
Not Dalton Smith power, baby. You know, he's felt that American power, but
you know, things happen so fast. It's boxing, you know. Things happen fast, you know. Like that's the way the fight went. You know, Dalton decided to go, hey, toe to toe. Now listen, in my defense again, how do you know? And I know this for a fact, but I don't want to talk so much, but. Dalton Smith, he felt the pressure. Listen, he felt the.
Yes.
He felt the pressure. Nobody has ever put that kind of pressure on him, and keep taking shots, still coming back.
That's why he was a world champion.
Yeah,
Raul.
Matias still took some of his best shots at the beginning, and he was still coming. Dalton Smith said, "You know what? I cannot fight in the second half of the fight. This is barely the third round. I can't fight this kind of pace. This is too much for me. In the second half of the fight, I'm gonna be tired. I mean, this is a lot. This is a relentless, crazy pace." So he said, "You know what? I'm gonna go toe to toe." And he rolled the dice, and guess what? It went good for him because he had power. He connected and he knocked him out. But I guarantee you, he was thinking, this is a fast pace. I'm not used to this. There's no fight that I've seen Dalton Smith fight that kind of pace. He probably said in the second half of the fight, I'm gonna be tired. This is a crazy pace. I've never done this before. So he decided on his own to use his big huevos, you know, cojones, you know, big huevos, and I give him that. You understand? But big heart, huevos. Mexicans say huevos, you know. And he said, I'm going toe to toe. He went for both. You know what? He set him up. 1-2, 1-2, and then the overhand. and his power prevailed. I mean, when when you got power like that, all it takes is one shot. How many fighters have you seen that are losing the fight, 4 or 5 rounds? They're losing. I'm not saying he was losing, but are losing the fight, and the other guy that's losing has power and connects him with one good shot.
Bruno
It's over.
Ceracchi comes to mind, yeah, but Jaime Munguia was,
Exactly.
these
Jaime
things happen.
Munguia. You're right. You're right. Jaime
Yeah,
Munguia.
these things happen. But I mean, but look, there is a question there. Are commentators under a certain amount of pressure for their own viewers, in their country, or their viewership on the channel that the fight's being broadcasted on, just between us, and a couple of thousand people. Are you ever under any pressure whatsoever to accommodate a certain boxer?
Never, never. I've never been. You know what?
Has to be asked.
For me, if Matias wins, great. He's Puerto Rican. If Dalton wins, great for him too. That's a dream of his from ever since he was young. I told you the whole story. I'm a family guy. The 4 generations there. He was since he was 6, 7 years old. Like me, I started boxing when I was that age. I was a highly decorated amateur. I was in the Olympics in 1992. Same thing with him. He had a good amateur background, won tournaments, a lot of fights, and undefeated, 19-0. Finally, he gets to fight for the world title, and he goes into enemy territory because it wasn't his hometown. It was more Matias, the Puerto Rican fans, New York, and he wins the world title by knockout. Beautiful. I'm happy for him. I'm a Dalton Smith fan. When I see the fight and all that, and I see what happened, man, I'm a fan. I was an aggressive fighter. I came to fight.
Yeah. I mean,
blood. I used to bleed. He was bleeding, from the nose,
yeah.
eyes. I love
it's
that.
big swelling. Yeah, I mean, when you said about he'd never fought a Subriel Matias, you were absolutely correct. You were a world champion. When you're at elite level, the pressure's on you no matter what. So as Dalton Smith had to come up to that fight as a contender, who had done it all domestically, area champion, British champion, European champion, Commonwealth champion. He'd fought many championship level fights. However,
but not like Matias.
of course, because when you step up, you have to adapt.
Right.
And coming and look what it meant to his father, his family.
He was
hungry. End of that.
He was hungry. He was determined. He worked hard. He was determined. He said, no matter what, look, if boxing Matias is not working, he feels he's not going to work. He said, you know what? I'm going to go toe to toe with him. He was determined to win that WBC title and go back with it to Sheffield, England. He was not going to leave without the and I see it now. But again, I was fighting that. You got to understand, I'm calling the fight, okay?
Exactly.
And when you call it a fight, I see Matias fight a lot more than Dalton Smith. And Matias fights that kind of way. I see the way he fights. And my thing was, can he keep with that kind of rhythm and pace? Can he?
Yeah, because you were thinking that far ahead. On one hand,
I wasn't thinking he was going to catch him. I wasn't thinking in the 5th round, he was going to catch him and knock him out. I wasn't thinking that. I saw, let me tell you something. If I thought, I'll tell you what, another thing. Matias, 23 wins, 22 by knockout. It's easy for someone to say, oh, you know what? A guy like put pressure like that, just box him, move around, you're going to be okay. Well, guess what? Only one fighter had done that, and that's Liam Paro. He knew how to box him and hold them and box and move and all that. So numbers don't lie. Out of 23 wins, he had knocked out 22 guys. Okay,
absolutely.
So if anybody was going to win this fight by knockout, it would have been Matias. If anybody was going to win by decision, it would have been Dalton Smith. I thought Dalton Smith could win by decision, but I never thought that he would win by knockout. That's what shocked me. Not only just me, Corey, and a lot of other writers here in the United States, a lot of other fighters in the United States. It was shocking. Nobody thought he was going to knock him out, and that I'm happy for him. I'm not against him. It just the way it happened. It's unbelievable.
I
Don't
mean,
you? Did you think he was gonna knock him out? Did you think he
yeah,
was gonna knock him out?
yeah. If you join Red Corner Boxing's prediction league Wednesdays at 8:30 UK time, you'll know that I had knockout round 6. I was one
Oh,
round
okay.
out. So, but that's what I'm trying to tell you, Raul.
Yeah.
There's a lot of British fans who
Yes.
fancied Dalton to knock out Subriel based on his form, based on at
Knocking
championship
everybody else
level,
out.
whether
Yes.
it be British level, whether it be European level, Commonwealth level, before he even got to Subriel Matias. And to be fair to Dalton, a lot of Subriel Matias's wins at knockout were at a far lower level than what I mean, I can go to Subriel Matias's championship record. Championship record. And it's not as impressive. Valenzuela, Roberto Ramirez,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Or yes.
uh, before that, you have to go back to, because there's a lot of retirees because of head clashes.
Yeah.
So, Subriel Matias, a lot of his knockouts were coming at a lower level, possibly at the same level as Dalton Smith. However, he's had more fights. But it was it was very little shock to a lot of people in the UK that this was going to be sort of Dalton Smith's night, But what tends to go against Brett's picking Dalton is because if he goes the distance, he's not going to get a result, right? Because, Subriel Matias' style wouldn't have changed. He would have still been, and as rounds went on, he would have been
Right.
accumulating.
Right.
Is that what you were thinking during the fight?
No, I wasn't thinking that. That's just what Matias does. That's what
Yeah.
Matias does, and that's what was going on. Look at punch stats. Look at the punch stats
Yeah, yeah.
at the
Well, they,
round.
they match up with the 2-2 score, but
Okay, but
overall,
but yes,
it was in Dalton's
Matias,
favor.
Matias gets better and busier as the rounds go. If he doesn't get knocked out, that was the first time he got knocked out. He got knocked out. Dalton caught him and finished him, and he wins the world title.
Absolutely.
We unless they have a rematch, one day, but we'll never know. I would love to see a rematch, down the line.
Yeah,
Why
I'd love
not?
to.
I would love to.
Very quickly, Alberto Puello is Dalton Smith's mandatory now. You've seen Alberto Puello, of course, former world champion.
Yes.
Do you think, if Dalton Smith gets his way and he has this fight in Sheffield, do you think Dalton will beat Alberto?
He should. It should, but styles make fights. Styles make fights, and Puello is a good boxer. He's a boxer. He's not a guy that's gonna come forward. He's a born fighter, but he's a tactical fighter. He uses the whole ring. It's gonna be a different style of fight. I think Dalton is gonna have to. Dalton's a good boxer too. You see the way he was boxing Matias early on, but I think Dalton is gonna have to, if he wants to get the knockout, obviously he's gonna have to press the issue, and close the gap intelligently, intelligent
Yes.
pressure, boxer
Yes.
pressure. You know, he should beat Puello. Of course yeah.
Yeah. Oh, great
But
stuff.
then
Great stuff.
you got the big dogs. You got Shakur, who's fighting Teofimo Lopez. You got Richardson Hitchens, who's a really good fighter, who beat Liam Paro. You also got who else is in
That's
there?
it. I think that's who Dalton Smith would ultimately like, ideally after Puello, would be a Richardson Hitchens unification.
Yeah.
But I believe Richardson's got he's got a title defense lined up in February, if I'm correct. Maybe Jabs can put that in the comments, but
It's
but
a
look,
very talented weight class. It's a weight class that
very
has a lot of good
talented.
fighters.
He's got,
And now
but
and now Dalton Smith, look, he's a good fighter. He's a good looking kid. He's charismatic. He's from Sheffield, England. The British fans love him. Raul Marquez loves him too. I support him, and I can't wait, man.
yeah,
It's gonna be good fights. It's gonna
yeah.
be good fights to unify the division.
I mean, 140 pound is now hot and up. Dalton Smith has just added his name to it with that, showcase knockout of Subriel Matias in New York. Oscar Duarte is actually who Richard Hitchens is fighting.
Richard Hitchens, yeah, he should be.
So should he come through that, that'd be a mouth-watering prospect, would it not? Whether it be New York or in England.
What's that again?
That'd be an interesting prospect, Richardson Hitchens and Dalton Smith, whether it be New York or in England.
That'll be a huge fight. That
huge fight.
That would be a good fight at the Barclays Center, being that Hitchison is from New York and Orange Sheffield. That'll be, and he's a good fighter. He's a very smart, high IQ, technical fighter. Good speed. Great jab, throws combinations and angles, and he got good footwork, respectable power. That would be a very fun fight to watch.
Absolutely, and well, look, Raul, it's been absolutely fabulous talking to you tonight, and we thank you so much for giving us, sacrificing your time and energy to come to Britain's what we like to call premier independent boxing channel here on YouTube. I will say that because I own half of it. I got my man James.
I really enjoyed it, and I thank you for your invitation, and I hope I get to go there one day. It's
we hope to see you.
I never been there. I never been there. In the amateurs, I traveled all over the world. I've been to Germany and Russia and Spain. When I was on the USA team in 1992. So, but I never got to go to England. I never got to go there.
You would have loved it, especially for the boxing community and the fans. They, as you said before, we're probably one of the very few passionate fans left in the world. The Mexicans.
Oh, for sure. I love the passion of the.
And it's that passion that drives the reactions, my friend. You know what I mean? And but look, I've got to address the audience now. Thank you to everybody who has come in and watched tonight and left comments in there. We couldn't read them out because bit of a technical hitch, but thank you to every single one of you. I mean, this was a wide-ranging and honest conversation with Raul Marquez. We addressed the criticism surrounding the Dalton Smith Subriel Matias broadcast, including narrative framing, real-time analysis, and how expectations can influence commentary in the moment. To Raul's credit, while opinions differed on the aspects of the delivery, his official scorecard viewed on hindsight aligned with how the fight ultimately played out, reinforcing his position as a neutral observer rather than a partisan voice. These conversations matter. Commentary shapes how fights are understood, especially in an era where every word is replayed, clipped, and debated. Credit where it's due, scrutiny where it's earned, and that balance is what keeps boxing discussions honest. I want to thank Raul for engaging openly, and thank you to everyone watching. Like and subscribe, and please let us know your thoughts in the comments. This program is sponsored by EasyStorage.com for all your local and nationwide needs, and of course, Boxing Fight Zone, our merchandise and apparel partners. Please check out the links in the bio, maybe a discount or two. I've been Mr. Neutral. That's been Mr. Raul Marquez. We'll see you next time.
I'm moving. I'm going. I can't stop. I got motion. I'm moving. I'm going.